Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I'll show you how to use Ktor. This Ktor is a Kotlin based HTTP client from JetBrains, the company behind the Kotlin programming language. So you use this library to make network calls or network requests in your Android application. I'll teach you how to configure it, create a client, and then make a real API request and display the result in our application. So this is the result of what we are coming to create. We have this food menu API that we're going to connect to and then fetch and display just like this. So I'm going to use MealDB. This page has a free API that you can access the meals and then their detail as well. So if you come to this API, it gives you access to different endpoints that you can fetch to display something in your application. So we are going to use this one to list all the menu based on the alphabet. So let's go to this. So this is how the API response is. Yeah, so we'll convert this to this beautiful UI over here. So if you are ready, subscribe to the channel, like this video and share. Let's get started. So first of all, let's create a new project. Select compose, go to next, and then choose a name. I'll call it Ktor Mail. Finish. So now go to your Gradle file and add the following dependency. The first dependency we need to add is the view of material, which will help us manage our versions. Now, you require two main dependencies to start using the Ktor client. The first one is the Ktor core, and the next one is the Ktor engine. So this is the main one that is responsible for the request functionality. And the second one, that's what is responsible for processing the request. So we have different form of engines for the different platforms like the Android desktop, iOS, and then Kotlin multi-platform. But this is what I usually use because this contains all the platform and then it works in Kotlin multi-platform as well. So you add these two, then now you are ready to make a request. But you know that when you make the request, the response that comes, this is how the response is. And we need to convert this to Kotlin data class. So we will need something to serialize and then deserialize this response. So to do that, you have to add two extra dependencies. The first one is the content negotiation. So these ones will help you automatically convert JSON response to the data class and vice versa. And it needs another helper called the serialization, this guy. So these two work together in order to convert your JSON to Kotlin data class and vice versa. Alright, we have to also add the last one, which is for logging for debug purposes. Finally, for the serialization to work, you have to come to the plugin and then add this plugin. So click on sync, then you come to the manifest and then add internet permission. So the first thing to do is to create an object that will be used throughout the entire application. So you create your Kotlin, select object, and then I'll call it network client. Inside this object, we have to create an instance of the HTTP client. So here you pass the engine, which is CIO. Then you import this one. Then you bring this block. So inside this block, you configure the HTTP client. So when you want to configure the HTTP client, we call it plugins. All these dependencies for JSON conversions are actually plugins or extensions of the main HTTP client. So to enable those ones, you use the install block and then you pass the actual plugin, which is content negotiation. So you select this one and now you configure the JSON over here. So inside the JSON, you pass JSON. So this pretty print tag will make our log response pretty. It will prettify it just like this. Instead of bringing a long string of the response, it will And then this one will ignore any restriction, and the last one will ignore any key that does not exist in our data class. It will allow it to work. And then we also have to add the login. So for the login, you pass login. So select this one. Now let's configure this one to reset the error level, the level to all, set it to. And then we can also configure the log message for here to get detail log. Override this first one. Yeah. So now we've configured our content negotiation and then the log as well. So the next thing to do is to create a data class for the response that is coming. So for that, you right click on the folder. So pay attention. I have a plugin installed that's able to help me create the data class. It's called Generate Pujo from JSON. So to install it, just come to your settings. Under the settings, come to plugin, and then you can search here. Select the marketplace tab and then search Generate Pujo. Yeah, so this is it. I have this one installed, Robo Pujo generator. So select this one. So once you have this plugin installed, you can easily convert this JSON to data class. So you just come to the folder, make sure you are on this folder, and then you right click on it. Then you see this option here, Generate Pujo from JSON. So you will come here and then copy your JSON and paste over here. Then you select Kotlin, and then you select Kotlin X. Then you give it the name you want to give it. So this one, I'll call it meal, and then you click on generate. So this is the class called meal. So when you open it, you see that it has automatically converted this to the data class for you with all the right annotation on it. So there are some few errors. Make sure you change this one to string. Now that you have the data class ready and our HTTP client also ready, the next thing to do is to make the request in your view model. Create a view model, and then I'll say meal view model. We have to add the view model dependency. Let's add the dependency for loading images, because in our application will be loading images. If you look at the link here, when you click on the link, it loads the image. So we need a library to also load the image. So to do that, we'll use Qual. This Qual library is used to load the images. So that's what I use to load the images. If you guys want a video on that, let me know in the comment section. Let's sync the project, and then we complete our view model. So you use the view model class. So inside the view model, this is where we make the request. So first, I'll create val meals equal to mutable double state of flow, this one, and then I'll pass meal, and I'll pass empty, and then now I have meals. Now let's get the meal. So I'll create a function that will be responsible for fetching the meal. So we get meals. So I'll use the view model scope. So import this guy. Now inside it, make sure you perform your network operation in a try catch block. Here we'll just log. So now inside the try block, that's where we make our request. To make the request, since we are using object, I can use network client. So this one, network client, and then dot client. So we access the client from this guy. We access this guy. Since it's an object, it's available throughout the entire application. So you use the name dot client, and then there are HTTP request method in the Ktor client. So you can use request. So request is the basic form of a request, and inside it you can configure it to be either a get request, a post request, and all the HTTP requests. But aside that, it also comes with the basic HTTP request. So we have the post, the get, and all that you can call directly and then perform your actions. So these are delete and patch, post, and all that. So they are available. So we'll call the get method. So it takes a link, and then you copy this and paste here. So this is the endpoint we'll be hitting when we make the request. And this get request returns a response. So we can save the response in a variable. When we get the response, what do we want to do? We want to convert this response into our data class. This is what Kotlin can handle in our Android application. So to do that, this is where we'll use the negotiation and then the serialization that we added to our project. So this one allow us to call this. So we can create a meal from this. From the response, there is a body, the response body. So this allows you to convert it by just passing data class. So once you call this automatically converts this response to our data class that we can use in our Android application. So once we are done, we can update it to this. We have everything set up, but we don't have the UI. So we come to our main application. So let's create the UI. So I'll create a screen called meal screen. So not to waste time on designing the UI, I'll just copy the UI and paste here so that we can focus this lesson on Ktor. So this is the UI. Inside the meal screen, we pass the meal view model. So here we get the state of the list. Then we call the get meal to fetch the list of meal. And then here we check if it is empty, or whilst the data is loading, we show the progress bar. If data is ready, then we use our lazy column to loop through and then show it like this. So this is an individual card, and then this is the list of cards. Okay, so you can go through this. I'll be leaving the link to the source code in the description, so make sure you check. So now that we have our UI ready, let's connect it to our main activity. We can remove this greeting application and then instead pass the mail screen. Yep, so you pass this guy and then we remove name over there. Now we have error here. We just have to copy this and pass to this guy and then remove the name. That will be all. So now let's run the application and see how it works. So as you can see, we are able to make a successful request to this endpoint and then fetch the data. So that's it. We are able to create a client and then send a request to the API and fetch the result. So from the documentation, we have a lot of methods and then approaches available to you. If you want to send requests, if you want to update and all that, it is available. So I'll leave the links to this doc for you to read further. If you have any question, you can ask in the description. Make sure you like this video and subscribe. See you in the next video.